In the quiet coastal city of Karachi, where the Arabian Sea whispered secrets to the night, lived a young woman named Aisha. She was 32, a graphic designer by trade, and someone who had once burned with dreams so bright they kept her awake until dawn. But the last few years had dulled her fire. Deadlines, family expectations, a string of heartbreaks, and the endless scroll of social media had turned her into someone who simply existed, floating from one day to the next, rarely looking up. Aisha wasn't particularly religious in the loud, public way. She prayed sometimes, mostly when fear pressed in, but she believed God was distant, like a star too far to warm her. Yet deep inside, a small, stubborn voice refused to die. It told her she was meant for more. She called it wishful thinking. Others in her circle of chosen ones, those who felt inexplicably set apart, called it the Holy Spirit. On December 31st, 2025, Aisha sat alone on her balcony, watching fireworks bloom over the city like temporary promises. Her phone buzzed with messages. "Happy New Year! 2026 will be your year!" She smiled politely in replies, but felt nothing. The year ahead looked like more of the same. At 11:59 p.m., something strange happened. Her phone, which she'd set to silent, suddenly played a voice note she didn't remember downloading. No sender name, just audio. A calm, deep voice, neither male nor female, spoke clearly. "Chosen ones, listen. January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are not ordinary days. I have marked them. What you do or fail to do in these 3 gateways will echo through your entire year. Ignore them and you will regret it deeply when the harvest comes. Tune your spirit, seek my face. The enemy is already positioning distractions. Do not sleep through the alarm." The message ended. Aisha stared at the screen, heart pounding. She tried to replay it. Gone. Deleted itself. She laughed nervously. "Probably some viral spiritual clickbait," she muttered, blaming too much late-night YouTube. But sleep wouldn't come. She tossed, the words looping in her mind. January 1st. She woke late, head heavy. The city was already celebrating the new year with brunch plans and outings. Her friends called, "Come to the beach cafe." She almost said yes, almost. Instead, the voice note echoed again in her memory. She felt a strange pull towards silence. Against every habit, she turned off her phone, lit a single candle, and sat on her prayer mat for the first time in months. No fancy words, just honesty. "God, if you're really speaking, show me. I'm tired of drifting." Tears came unexpectedly. She stayed there 2 hours. No lightning, no visions, but when she stood up, something had shifted, like a window cracked open after years of being sealed. That afternoon, she walked to the sea alone. No music in her ears, just the waves. She noticed things she'd ignored for years. An old man feeding stray cats, a child laughing as he chased a kite, the way the sun painted gold on the water. Gratitude rose unbidden. She whispered thanks for breath, for another chance. January 2nd. The second day felt heavier. Aisha's inbox exploded with work emails, urgent revisions, a client demanding a rush job. Her instinct screamed, "Answer now, hustle, start the year strong." But the warning rang louder. The enemy fights the first days. She closed her laptop. Instead, she opened her old journal, the one she'd abandoned in 2022. Pages of dreams, prayers, promises she'd made to herself and to God. She read them aloud, voice shaking. Some dreams felt childish now, others still burned. She wrote one new line, "This year, I choose alignment over ambition." In the evening, she felt led to call her estranged aunt, the one who'd hurt her deeply years ago. The conversation was awkward, tearful, raw. Forgiveness didn't erase pain, but it released something chained inside her chest. She slept lighter than she had in years. January 3rd, the final gateway. Aisha woke with a sense of urgency, as if time itself was watching. She fasted from food and social media. She walked to a small masjid near her home, not her usual place, but one she'd passed 1,000 times without entering. Inside, she sat quietly in the women's section. An elderly woman beside her smiled and handed her a small tasbih. "For focus," she said simply. Aisha prayed longer than ever before, not for things, for clarity, for courage, for ears that hear. As she left, the imam was finishing a short talk. His words caught her. "The first 3 days are seeds. What you plant in humility, seeking God, grows into a year of favor. What you plant in distraction or pride withers." She froze. It was almost the exact phrasing from the mysterious voice note. That night, she lit the candle again. This time, she felt peace, not the absence of problems, but the presence of direction. She wrote a vision for 2026, not vague wishes, but specific steps aligned with purpose, helping young women in design find their voice, volunteering at a local shelter, deepening her spiritual life. She spoke aloud. "God, if these 3 days were prophetic, I didn't ignore them. Thank you for the warning. I receive the grace to walk it out." Months later, by April, strange and beautiful things began unfolding. Clients came, not just any, but those who valued her creativity and heart. Opportunities appeared that matched the dreams she'd revisited on January 2nd. Her relationships healed in layers. Most of all, the inner numbness was gone. She felt alive, chosen, not because life became easy, but because she was no longer drifting through it. One evening in July, as she watched the sunset from the same balcony, her phone buzzed. In the bustling heart of Karachi, where the humid sea breeze carried the scent of salt and street food through crowded alleys, lived a woman named Aisha Rahman. At 32, she was a freelance graphic designer whose life had become a monotonous loop of deadlines, caffeine-fueled nights, and fleeting social interactions. Her apartment in Clifton overlooked the Arabian Sea, a view that once inspired her, but now felt like a mocking reminder of unfulfilled dreams. Aisha had grown up in a middle-class family, the youngest of 3 siblings, always the one with the vivid imagination. As a child, she'd sketch fantastical worlds on scraps of paper, dreaming of becoming an artist who changed lives. But adulthood had chipped away at that spark. Bills, a failed engagement, and the relentless pressure of a gig economy had left her jaded. Aisha wasn't overtly spiritual. She identified as Muslim, observing Ramadan sporadically and offering quick prayers during tough times, but God felt like a distant relative she rarely called. Yet, in quiet moments, she sensed something more, a nagging intuition that she was chosen for a purpose, though she dismissed it as ego or leftover childhood fantasy. Her friends, a mix of fellow creatives and old schoolmates, often joked about her prophetic vibes, but Aisha brushed it off. Life was survival, not destiny. It was December 31st, 2025, and Karachi was alive with New Year's anticipation. Fireworks vendors hawked their wares on every corner, and the air hummed with the chatter of families preparing for midnight feasts. Aisha had no plans. Her siblings were scattered, her brother in Lahore, her sister in Dubai, and her parents had passed years ago in a car accident that still haunted her dreams. She sat on her balcony, scrolling through Instagram reels of glamorous parties, feeling the familiar ache of isolation. At exactly 11:59 p.m., her phone vibrated, not with a text, but a voice note from an unknown source. No profile picture, no number. She tapped play, expecting spam. Instead, a resonant voice filled the air, clear and commanding, yet oddly soothing, like thunder wrapped in velvet. Chosen ones, heed this word from the Lord. January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are prophetic gateways. I have ordained them as thresholds for your year. In these 3 days, align your spirit, seek my face, and plant seeds of obedience. The adversary will send distractions, busyness, doubts, temptations to derail you. Ignore this divine alarm, and when the storms of 2026 rage, you will regret it bitterly. But obey, and favor will flood your path. Tune your ears. The time is now. The message vanished as soon as it ended. Aisha replayed it, nothing. She searched her apps, her downloads, gone. Her heart raced. "What the hell?" she whispered, chalking it up to a glitch or a hacked account. But sleep evaded her that night. The words burrowed into her mind like roots seeking soil. Chosen ones, prophetic dates. It sounded like those viral TikTok prophecies she scrolled past. Yet something felt personal, as if the voice knew her secrets. January 1st, the awakening. Dawn broke over Karachi with the call to prayer echoing from minarets, blending with the honks of early rickshaws. Aisha woke groggy, her phone already buzzing with notifications. Group chats exploding with Happy New Year memes, a client emailing about a logo redesign due in 2 days, and her best friend Zara inviting her to a beach brunch at Port Grand. The temptation was strong. Mimosas, laughter, a distraction from the void. But the voice note's warning replayed. The enemy is already positioning distractions. She hesitated, then did something unprecedented. She silenced her phone, drew the curtains, and knelt on her faded prayer rug, the one her mother had embroidered with intricate floral patterns. "God," she began haltingly, "if that message was from you, or even if it wasn't, I'm listening. Show me what I'm missing. I'm so tired of this half-life." She sat there for what felt like hours, tears streaming as memories surfaced. Her parents' accident, the fiancé who left her for someone less complicated, the art school scholarship she'd turned down for a stable job. Grief mingled with regret. No divine fireworks erupted, no angelic visitations, but as she rose, a subtle peace settled, like fog lifting from the sea. She felt lighter, as if invisible weights had been removed. Instead of brunch, Aisha walked to the Clifton beach alone. The sand was dotted with families picnicking, vendors selling corn on the cob slathered in spices. She kicked off her sandals, letting the waves lap at her feet. For the first time in years, she noticed the details. The iridescent shells scattered like jewels, a flock of seagulls wheeling overhead in perfect synchronicity, an elderly couple holding hands as they strolled. Gratitude bubbled up unbidden. "Thank you," she murmured to the horizon, "for this moment, for breath, for second chances." That evening, she sketched, not for work, but for herself, an ethereal figure standing at a gateway, light pouring through. It was rough, but it felt alive. January 2nd, the reckoning. The second day dawned with chaos. Aisha's inbox was a war zone. The client from yesterday now demanded revisions by noon. Her landlord texted about a rent hike, and Zara called, upset that she'd bailed on brunch. "You're isolating again, Aisha. Come out tonight. There's a party at Doderia." The poll was magnetic. Escape, fun, normalcy. But the prophetic words loomed. What you do, or failed to do, in these 3 dateways will echo through your entire year. She powered off her devices and pulled out her old journal, dusty from neglect. Flipping through yellowed pages, she confronted her past self. Entries from 2020 dreaming of launching her own design studio focused on empowering women. Prayers for healing after her breakup. Lists of goals abandoned midway. Tears fell as she wrote, "Why did I stop believing? Fear? Laziness? God, if you're real in this, help me realign. Not for success, but for purpose. The act felt vulnerable, exposing the cracks in her armor. In the afternoon, an impulse struck to call her Aunt Fatima, her mother's sister. They'd fallen out 5 years ago over inheritance disputes after her parents' death. Words had been sharp, wounds deep. Aisha had vowed never to speak to her again, but today, forgiveness tugged at her. She dialed, hands trembling. "Aisha? Is that you?" Aunt Fatima's voice was frail, surprised. They talked for an hour, awkward at first, then raw. Apologies flowed both ways. "I was grieving too," her aunt admitted. "I took it out on you." By the end, they laughed through tears about old family stories. It didn't erase the pain, but it mended a fracture Aisha hadn't realized was bleeding her dry. That night, she dreamed vividly, standing before 3 glowing doors, each labeled January 1, 2, 3. Beyond them, a garden bloomed. She woke energized, the dream feeling like confirmation. January 3rd, the commitment. The final day carried an electric charge. Karachi's streets pulsed with post-holiday energy, but Aisha fasted, not just from food, but from distractions. No social media, no TV. She walked to a modest masjid in her neighborhood, one she'd passed daily but never entered. The women's section was quiet, sunlight filtering through latticed windows. She prayed fervently, not rote recitations but heart cries, for clarity on her calling, courage to pursue it, wisdom to discern distractions. An older woman nearby, her face etched with life stories, noticed Aisha's intensity. "First time here?" she asked softly. Aisha nodded. The woman handed her a string of prayer beads. For focus, Allah hears the sincere heart. As prayer ended, the imam spoke briefly. "The New Year's first 3 days are like seeds in fertile soil. Plant with intention, seeking God, mending relationships, envisioning His will, and reap abundance. Ignore them in pursuit of the world and face regret when trials come." Aisha's breath caught. It mirrored the voice note exactly. Was this coincidence or divine orchestration? Returning home, she lit a candle and mapped her year. Not vague resolutions, but aligned actions. Starting a mentorship group for young female designers in Karachi's underprivileged areas, volunteering at a local orphanage her mother had loved, committing to daily spiritual disciplines. She spoke aloud, "God, I didn't ignore your warning. Seal these days in my spirit. Let 2026 be a testimony." The unfolding harvest. Weeks blurred into months. By February, subtle shifts emerged. A client, impressed by a design Aisha poured her new passion into, referred her to a major NGO needing branding for women's empowerment initiatives. It aligned perfectly with her vision. In March, Zara noticed the change. "You're glowing, Aisha. What happened?" Over chai at a seaside cafe, Aisha